Captain Marcus Vale wiped sweat from his brow as he descended into the crystalline cavern beneath Kepler 438b's surface. The mining expedition had stumbled upon something extraordinary, a chamber that defied every xenoarchaeological theory humanity had developed. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent veins, casting an ethereal blue glow across what appeared to be a perfect hexagonal room. "Professor Hendricks, you need to see this," Vale called into his comm unit, his voice echoing through the vast space. Dr. Evelyn Hendricks arrived within minutes, her weathered face lighting up with scientific wonder. Behind her trailed Lieutenant James Morrison, a young military engineer whose specialty in alien technology had made him invaluable to the expedition. The trio stood in stunned silence before 13 towering stasis cubes, each nearly 3 meters tall and humming with an energy that made their teeth ache. "Thalari architecture," Hendricks whispered, running her fingers along the smooth surface of the nearest cube. "I've only seen fragments in museums. This civilization vanished over 12 years ago during the Convergence Wars." Morrison stepped closer, his scanner beeping frantically. "Captain, these aren't empty. There's biological activity inside, faint but consistent with suspended animation protocols. Through the translucent walls of each cube, they could make out small humanoid forms, children, by all appearances, with the characteristic elongated limbs and silver-tinged skin of the Thalari race. Their peaceful faces showed no signs of distress, but the readings Morrison gathered painted a different picture. "The power cells are failing," he announced, his voice tight with concern. "Whatever system is keeping them alive has been running on backup power for years. I'm reading critical fluctuations in Cube 7. Vale felt his stomach drop. The Thalari had been renowned throughout the galaxy for their advanced biotechnology and peaceful nature. When the Convergence Wars erupted, a brutal conflict between expanding human colonies and territorial disputes with various alien species, the Thalari had tried to remain neutral. It cost them everything. Their homeworld was glassed, their colonies scattered, their people presumed extinct. "How long do they have?" Hendricks asked, though her expression suggested she already feared the answer. Morrison consulted his readings again. "At current decay rates, maybe 72 hours, before complete system failure. Less if we keep disturbing the chamber's electromagnetic field." The weight of discovery settled on them like a lead blanket. 13 children of a supposedly extinct race, hidden away by parents who never returned. The galaxy had moved on, assuming. The Thalari were just another casualty of humanity's expansion into space. Now 3 humans stood, as possibly the only hope these children had. "We need to contact Earth Command immediately," Vale decided. "This changes everything we thought we knew about the Convergence Wars." But even as he spoke, Cube 7's gentle, blue glow flickered ominously. Time was running out faster than any of them had anticipated. 3 hours later, the chamber buzzed with activity. Earth Command had responded with unprecedented speed, dispatching the research vessel Prometheus, under the command of Captain Diana Foster. The tall, stern-faced woman had earned her reputation during the Outer Rim conflicts, but nothing had prepared her for this discovery. "Status report," Foster demanded as she entered the chamber, followed by her chief medical officer, Dr. Nathan Cross, and xenobiologist Dr. Yuki Tanaka. Morrison looked up from where he knelt beside Cube 7, sweat beading on his forehead. "Power fluctuations are increasing. I've managed to stabilize Cubes 1 through 6 and 8 through 13, but 7 is critical. The child inside..." He paused, checking his readings. "Heart rate is dropping. Whatever these stasis pods do to maintain life, it's failing." Dr. Cross immediately began setting up his portable medical suite. "I need to understand their physiology before we attempt any intervention. One mistake could kill them all." Dr. Tanaka was already deep in analysis. Her equipment interfaced with the alien technology. The Thalari were known for their biological integration with technology. These aren't just stasis pods, they're life support systems that actively repair cellular damage and maintain optimal biological functions. It's incredibly sophisticated. Foster studied the failing cube with military precision. Options, people. We can't just stand here and watch a child die. I might be able to jury-rig a connection between our ship's power core and their system, Morrison suggested, his hands already moving over his toolkit. But the energy signatures are completely different. Human technology operates on electrical principles, while theirs appears to be bioelectric. Do it, Foster ordered without hesitation. As Morrison worked frantically, Dr. Cross made a disturbing discovery. Captain, preliminary scans suggest these children have been in stasis for at least 12 years, possibly longer. They were likely placed here during the early stages of the convergence wars. The implication hung heavy in the recycled air. These children had been hidden away while their entire civilization burned. Their parents, their people, their entire culture, gone, while these 13 slept in artificial dreams. "Got it!" Morrison exclaimed as his makeshift power coupling connected. The failing cube's glow steadied, its ominous flickering replaced by a steady pulse. "It's holding, but this is a temporary fix at best. We need to understand their technology completely if we're going to safely revive them." Foster nodded grimly. "Dr. Tanaka, how long before you can crack their stasis protocols?" "Give me 18 hours with a full xenotech analysis team," Tanaka replied. "But Captain, there's something else. These cubes aren't just preserving them, they're teaching them. I'm detecting neural activity consistent with information download. These children have been learning while they slept." The revelation sent chills through the chamber. What knowledge had the dying Thalari race deemed so important that they programmed it into their sleeping children? And more importantly, what would 13 alien children think of the species that had inherited their galaxy? 18 hours stretched into 36 as Dr. Tanaka's team worked around the clock to decode the alien stasis technology. The temporary power coupling Morrison had rigged began showing stress fractures, sparking dangerously every few hours. Time was slipping away like sand through their fingers. "I think I've got it," announced Dr. Leo Vasquez, Tanaka's lead systems analyst, his eyes bloodshot from staring at alien code sequences. "The revival process is incredibly complex. It's not just waking them up. It's essentially rebuilding their entire biological system from a template stored in the cube's memory." Foster leaned over his shoulder, studying the incomprehensible data streams. "How certain are you?" 70%, Vasquez admitted. "But Captain, the power coupling is failing. We need to try now or we lose them all." Morrison's hands were steady despite his exhaustion as he initiated the revival sequence for Cube 7. The chamber filled with a harmonic resonance that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The cube's interior began to glow brighter, and the small form inside stirred for the first time in over a decade. Dr. Cross stood ready with his medical equipment, uncertain what to expect. The Thalari child inside appeared to be roughly equivalent to a human 12-year-old, with delicate features and the characteristic silver-tinted skin of her people. As the stasis field dissolved, she opened eyes that held the depth of ancient knowledge. "Veltar Nesh," she whispered in a voice like wind chimes, her gaze finding each human face in turn. Her eyes showed no fear, only profound sadness. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her translation device working frantically. "She said you came. I think she's been expecting us." The child, they decided to call her Zara until they could learn her true name, sat up slowly, her movements graceful despite 12 years of stasis. When she spoke again, the words came in accented but clear English. "My teachers showed me your language in the dreaming time," Zara said. her young voice carrying an otherworldly wisdom. "I know what happened to my people. I know who you are." The humans exchanged nervous glances. Foster stepped forward, her military bearing softened by genuine compassion. "I'm Captain Diana Foster. We're here to help you and the others." Zara's eyes moved to the remaining 12 cubes, and tears began to fall, silver droplets that seemed to glow with their own light. Kethra, Nimdal, Vorthek. She whispered names, her hand reaching toward the nearest cube. "My pod siblings. We were chosen to remember, to carry forward what was lost." "Chosen how?" Dr. Cross asked gently, running preliminary medical scans. "When the burning ships came to our sky, the elders knew our son would die," Zara explained, her young face bearing the weight of racial memory. "They chose 13 young ones to carry the deep knowing into tomorrow. We were taught the songs of making, the ways of growing life from dead stone, the mathematics of harmony that could heal broken worlds." Foster felt her breath catch. These weren't just refugee children. They were living repositories of Thalari knowledge, potentially holding secrets that could transform humanity's understanding of life itself. Over the next 48 hours, Morrison's team managed to stabilize the power systems long enough to safely revive 6 more children. Each awakening brought new revelations and deeper mysteries. The young Thalari, ranging in apparent age from 8 to 16 in human years, possessed knowledge that challenged everything humanity thought it knew about science and life. Nimdal, a boy with intricate silver markings across his temples, demonstrated an intuitive understanding of quantum mechanics that left Dr. Tanaka speechless. Kethra, barely the size of a human 10-year-old, could manipulate the crystalline walls of the chamber with nothing but concentrated thought and gentle touches. "It's not telekinesis," Dr. Cross explained to Foster as they observed from the chamber's entrance. "Their neural patterns show they're communicating with the crystal matrix on a molecular level. The Thalari didn't just build with materials, they formed partnerships with them." The revelation came during the awakening of Vorthek, whose stasis cube had contained something unexpected: detailed star charts and biological data about hundreds of worlds, including Earth. "Your world was sick when the elders looked upon it. And through the far-seeing," Vorthek explained to the gathered humans, his adolescent voice carrying the weight of prophecy. "Poisoned waters, dying soil, storms that grew too angry. We were taught the healing songs for worlds like yours." Foster felt her heart skip. Earth's climate crisis had been worsening for decades, despite humanity's best efforts. "You're saying your people knew how to heal damaged planets?" "Not heal," corrected Zara, who had become their unofficial spokesperson. "Transform. Make partnership between life and stone, between water and wind. The Thalari way is not to force nature, but to sing with it until harmony returns." Dr. Tanaka was frantically taking notes. "The implications are staggering. If they possess genuine terraforming knowledge, not the brute force methods we've been developing, but actual planetary restoration." But their growing excitement was tempered by a harsh reality. The 6 remaining children were showing signs of stasis degradation. The improvised power systems couldn't maintain 13 pods indefinitely, and attempts to construct proper Thalari power cores were failing. "We need to make a choice," Morrison announced grimly during their evening briefing. "We can maintain 7 pods, maybe 8, but not all 13. The power requirements are beyond our current capabilities." The awakened children had been listening, their enhanced hearing picking up conversations meant to be private. Zara approached Foster with the measured steps of someone carrying an impossible burden. "Captain Foster," she said, her young voice steady despite the silver tears flowing down her cheeks. "We know what you discuss. The deep knowing teaches that sometimes the seed must choose which flowers bloom. No, Foster said firmly. "We don't abandon children, any children." "Then we must make the great choosing ourselves," Zara replied. "Some must wake to teach, others must dream longer until your people learn to sing with our machines. This is the way of the Thalari, sacrifice for the greater harmony." The weight of species-level responsibility settled on 13-year-old shoulders that should have been carrying nothing heavier than school books. The choice came down to mathematics and heartbreak. The 7 awakened Thalari children made the decision themselves, selecting which of their pod siblings would join them in wakefulness and which would continue dreaming until humanity could master their technology. "Jelana must wake," Nimdal insisted, his small hand pressed against Cube 11. "She carries the songs of water healing. Your blue world needs her knowledge." One by one they chose based not on personal bonds, but on Earth's needs. Rixtar, who held the deep knowing of soil restoration. Melvor, whose dreams contained atmospheric harmonization techniques. Kelnath, barely 8 years old, who somehow carried the genetic keys to symbiotic plant development. Foster watched the process with a mixture of admiration and sorrow. These children were making decisions that would reshape 2 civilizations, and they did so with a wisdom that humbled every adult in the chamber. The final 4 awakenings proceeded smoothly. Dr. Cross marveled at their physiology, bodies that seemed fragile but possessed remarkable adaptability and regenerative capabilities. Dr. Tanaka documented every piece of knowledge they shared, from basic biological principles to complex theoretical frameworks that would take human scientists decades to fully understand. But the real transformation began when the 11 awakened children worked together for the first time. Standing in a circle within the crystal chamber, they began what Zara called the joining song, a harmonic resonance that caused the walls themselves to respond with growing light. "What are they doing?" Morrison whispered, his instruments registering energy patterns unlike anything in human science. "They're talking to the planet," Dr. Tanaka breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "The crystalline structures throughout this world, they're not just formations, they're a communication network." The children's song grew stronger, and suddenly, every human in the chamber could feel it, a sense of connection, of belonging, of harmony with the living world around them. For a brief moment, they understood what the Thalari had always known, that consciousness and matter were not separate things, but parts of a greater symphony. When the song ended, Zara turned to Foster with eyes that held starlight. "Captain, we wish to return with you to the blue world. Not as refugees, but as partners. The deep knowing teaches that when 2 peoples meet in peace, both become more than they were alone." Foster knelt to meet Zara's gaze at eye level. "What about your people who remain sleeping?" "They will dream safely here while we teach your scientists to sing with crystal and stone," Zara replied. "And when your people have learned harmony, we will return to wake them. This is the way forward, not the path of conquest that brought the burning ships, but the path of growing together." 6 months later, Earth's first experimental biocrystal atmospheric processors came online, designed through the partnership between human engineering and Thalari harmony science. The children had kept their promise, and humanity had learned to sing a new song, one of healing rather than conquest, of partnership rather than domination. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when the deadliest predators in space learned to welcome rather than consume. Character locations and descriptions. Captain Marcus Vale, standing in the mining facilities command center on Kepler 438b, reviewing excavation reports while managing the logistics of the most important discovery in human history. Dr. Evelyn Hendricks, positioned in her temporary field laboratory carved into the cavern walls, surrounded by alien artifacts and translation. Matrices, working to decode 12 years of Thalari cultural data, Lieutenant James Morrison, located in the Crystal Chamber's makeshift engineering station, a corner filled with jury-rigged power couplings and human Thalari hybrid technology, monitoring the life signs of the two children still in stasis. Captain Diana Foster, standing on the bridge of the research vessel Prometheus in orbit around Kepler 438b, coordinating between Earth Command and the surface teams while preparing for humanity's first interspecies integration program. Dr. Nathan Cross, working in the converted medical bay of the underground facility, studying Thalari physiology while developing treatment protocols for beings whose biology operates on principles unknown to human medicine. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, stationed in the xenobiology wing of the temporary research facility, her workspace a maze of quantum computers and bio-crystal interfaces, bridging two completely different approaches to science. The 11 awakened Thalari children, living in specially constructed habitat modules within the crystal chamber, spaces that blend human environmental controls with Thalari harmony resonance. Technology, learning to be bridges between two worlds while teaching humanity to sing with stone and starlight.